How is Wednesday?
This is your captain speaking. Thanks, Scott. I appreciate it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday Q&A webinar. Today is July 14th, and this is where we get together and we show off the new features and functionality of trade ideas, answer any questions you may have. I've got a lot on the plate today because we just did a release of our version 5.5 software, and I'll kind of go through that, show you where you can pick it up and how you can best utilize it. And I'm also going to take you on a little bit of tour on creating an alert, creating a strategy from an alert window, and then taking that strategy, modifying it a bit, and throwing it into a multi-strategy window. So a little bit of workshop here, in addition to showing you the new features that we've got going on. Let's just start off with a disclaimer, guys. We're not a registered investment advisor. We're not here to give you investment advice, but what we do is create incredible idea generation technology that helps you navigate the stock market and really find great opportunities in real time throughout the day. So without further ado, let's just kind of get right into it. This is our new splash screen for version 5.5. I'm going to go ahead and just kill the presentation here and go right into where you can get that. So taking you to our website, trade-ideas.com. Right up at the top, we've got this download software option. You click there. This is not a production release. This is a beta release. So you're going to want to scroll on down to the beta section right here, and this is where you can download it. So what I'm showing you today, guys, can be downloaded right here from our website. So I encourage you guys to do that. Let's just dive into it. And before I actually bring in the software, I want to just show you one other little nugget up here at the top, which is our web version of the software. This is kind of an innocuous version. It's kind of out of the way. People don't know it's there, but it works very similar to our downloadable application. You can log in with the very same user ID that you've been using and have access to our more browser-based version of our software. And it's pretty slick. Now, just real quick, I'll dive into it real quick here, just to give you a little mini preview. If you know how to use one version of our software, whether it's the web, you'll know how to use the application and vice versa. So whether it's a channel bar, creating your own windows, your own special layout, it's all, you can use them both in the very same manner. The cloud links save and work and load between the two versions. So anything you can do in one, with the exception of our Brokerage Plus module, you can do in the other. So I encourage you guys to also check that out. So as I move right over here, we're looking at my layout. I do have a pretty complex layout. It takes up two different screens of mine. But what I've done is I've brought all these free-floating windows that I previously had on my desktop, and I brought them in to a couple different docking units here. So I've got, actually, let me close this one. This was not meant for the webinar. There we go. So now what I have here up at the top is I've got my custom dock. This right here is my monitor number one, where I've got a bunch of different windows, all contained within this particular container. We call it a docking window. And these docking windows are very customizable, both from a size, what windows you put in there, what columns you have displayed. But once you have it inside of one of these containers, it's really super easy to manipulate, where you can just size the entire container and everything in it will proportionally size accordingly. So it really does make it nice and easy to move between different workspaces that you may have created. So before I dive into, and I will go through my particular layout, I'm going to close a couple of these docks that I have, and I want to start off with the channel bar. The channel bar works very, very similar to the way it previously worked. If you go to new, we've got a couple of additional options right here. So this is how you would previously load the channel bar, is you'd select that. But if I select the dock channel bar, it's going to open up a dock window, and now I can go ahead and select what it is that I want to look at. So if I was coming in here at the beginning of the day, I might want to select that pre-market channel and take a look at some of the stocks that are gapping up or gapping down, or even if I'm looking at this multi-strategy window in the upper left corner, this is giving me stocks that are moving in an inordinate way in the pre-market, whether it's moving for a pre-market high, a pre-market low, running up, or a high volume type of signal. So we've got a lot of different ideas that are being generated in the pre-market, and this is where you can grab one of those gappers and take a look at it. Like all of our windows, whether you're looking at a pre-market channel or any of them, if you select a particular symbol in any of the windows, all of the related components are going to update. The single stock is going to update to a deep dive where I can drill right into that stock and look at some of the detailed data points that are happening on that particular security. And then I can drill into the chart where we've got not only the standard types of candles that you're looking at, but we also put some interesting overlays on there, giving you some risk management controls. And of course, we've got, when you right click in any of the windows, we've got a context sensitive menu, and you could customize the charts to look the way that you want to look, add different indicators if that's your thing, put the certain time frames that you want to look at. We've got two different time frames that we're looking at here, a longer term and a shorter term time frame. And in fact, in this version here that you guys can download off the beta, we've done a little bit of enhancement with the charts. We've got a lot more coming here shortly with respect to colors and customization. So we've got this little toolbar up at the top that we've added that lets you, quickly drill in between different time frames and add your indicators, put on some annotations and some markup. And you can do all of that with the chart right there. If you hold the control key down and you move your mouse scroll wheel, you can really change the compression rate of these candles and get a different view where you're looking at, a longer term view of that particular time frame. Or if you scroll up, again, it's going to zoom in. So it gives you a nice way to customize that display. So now when you're going through the different channels, it's all contained within this window right here. It'll replace those other windows with the new one inside of this particular container. And so whether you're looking at a channel that's scanning the entire universe of stocks or looking at a channel that's looking at a portfolio of stocks, Trade Ideas is really meant to bring up the interesting ideas that are happening, again, either with a full universe or with a particular portfolio. It doesn't really matter how you use it. The same type of algorithms are used, whether you're looking at the universe. One thing that we do at Trade Ideas in our data center, which is in San Diego, we're connected to the various exchanges. We're connected to Oprah. We're connected to FactSet. We've got some new vendors that we're bringing on as well. Wall Street Horizons is a new data vendor that we're bringing on that's going to specifically focus and look at earnings dates and give us the earnings information. They're supposed to be the best in the industry, so we're pretty excited about moving our data stream to that particular source right there. So yeah, this is Barry's channel right here, and you can see which channel you're looking at because over on the channel bar, you've got that on superimposed onto the channel. Barry curates his list of symbols every day, and so each new day, this is going to be generating new ideas based upon his curation. Pretty simple alert stream that he's got set up. It's really all about the meat of it is really about the symbols that he's identified as stocks that are in play for the day. And we've got, a ton of different channels right here, whether you're looking at stocks and electric vehicle stocks, anything to do with that, battery, you can come here and you can take a look at all the sympathetic players in that space. And we've got a couple of different ways to look at that. Right here, everything here is going to be EV related, but if you go to the similar tab on our single stock window, and this is a real full featured window, we've got a lot of data. We've got the detail tab, the news, profile, insiders, and the similar right here is taking a look. If I've got it set to competitors, it's looking at the industry group and pulling in stocks within the same industry group. And then once you've done that, you can sort this window. It's just like a top list window where you can sort on any of the columns that you see right here. If you want to right click in here and pop it out, you can pop that out to a free floating top list window right here. If you wanted to pin it, move it to the side and look at that for later, you could do that. If you wanted to take this top list, because maybe you want to pull it up later, you could just go ahead and save it to the cloud and bring it back later. If you wanted to have that particular window saved to the cloud, you could also assign it to a custom channel. And these custom channels, I have 4 of them right here, everything above that horizontal line. These custom channels can be a single window, it could be multiple windows, it could be a full workspace, it could be multiple dock windows in a workspace. So it could be one window or a real complex type of layout. So I do recommend you guys peruse these different channels, take a look at what we have, and then you can see, if you're interested, you can see how we've created them, how we've developed them. One thing I'll talk about a little bit later is our strength alerts product. It's a $17 a month product. It gets emailed out to the subscribers every Sunday. But if you're a subscriber of Trade Ideas in any capacity, whether it's standard or premium, you're going to have access to that right through the strength alerts channel. And you get the commentary. This is what the email, the components of the email are all based in here. But effectively, these windows are focused on just 5 different stocks that are called out at the beginning of the week. These are meant to be swing trades held for the week, and that's how the analysis is kept on it. So as I just kind of scroll down, I'll just touch on a couple more, and then I'll dive into really how to create a strategy and manipulate that strategy and move it into a different type of window.
Hey, Brad, can I interject just for a second?
Hey, Barry, sure.
Okay, something came up in the trading room, and this might be of interest. So click on the sector status as an example.
You betcha.
Okay, so that is something that some people might like to have open all the time, all right? As well as maybe your own layout. So I was asked, well, how if I wanted that open all the time, but I also wanted to cruise through the channel bar, what would I do? I'm sure you know this, but if you go back to a new and then go back to your dock channel bar, you can open up the channel bar again, and now you've got them both. So you could have, like, the sector status seems to be pretty popular, just as a, obviously as a general overview of the market. And so some people like to have that up and running all the time, but so you can do that, and then you can also go back to the channel bar again and then surf through the different channels.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'm a little reluctant to show that like at the beginning, because I do want to make sure that people don't overwhelm their system.
Well, and that was it. I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, no, that's okay, because the thing is with Trade Ideas, we believe that you should be master of your own domain, your own boss. If you want to have a bunch of windows open, you should be able to do that. Now, every computer is different, every bandwidth is different, and it's very possible if you've got 5 different docked windows open and there are 20 windows in each one of those docks, you're going to have some performance issues. So just be aware of that. And if you notice that you are having a little bit of a performance issue, you can always close down that dock and you can open it up later. You could save it as a custom channel, or you could just have it like Barry was saying, open. But just make sure that you don't open too many docks, forget about them, and because all that's bringing in data in the background. Even when they're minimized, it's all bringing in data so that when you restore that window, it's all pre-populated with the data that you're looking for. So just be mindful of that. And we're in the process of also doing some performance monitoring so that we can preempt any of these performance issues that may occur. So if you're bringing in too much data, you have too many windows, the CPU load is too high, we'll be able to proactively notify you of that as well. But yeah, we don't want to put any collars on you. We want you to be able to do what you want to do here. So yeah, no, that's a great point, Barry. This is a great little channel because not only does it give you, and I'll bring it back here, does it give you the highlight of the different sectors right here in this window here that I'm hovering over, but we've got most of, not all of them, but most of the different sector components in here where you can drill down into any of these. And I think by default, for the most part, it's sorted on the highest at the top, the biggest change for the day up at the top. But, like any of the windows, you can change that sort. And you could use this little bar down at the bottom. We call it what do we call it? I forget it all the time. But if you go into properties, it's called our cylinder score. And the cylinder score, it can look at a variety of different data points. It gives you the option for the data points that are up here in that window. The obvious one is change from the close. And what it does is it breaks down this particular window and it gives you a percentage breakdown of how many stocks in this particular window or sector are up for the day or are down for the day. So I could look at the financials very quickly and see that of these components that make up the XLF's financial sector, 78% of them are down for the day, 21% are up. So you can get a real quick bird's eye view of the strength of that particular sector. And conversely, the consumer staples, it's kind of the opposite of that, where I've got 71% up for the day and 28% down. So a little trick there. And when you right click in that particular cylinder score, this is where you define exactly what column you want it to analyze right there. And there is a custom one as well where you could, have it look right now it looks to change for the close. If it's positive, it's going to be up. If it's negative, it's going to be down. But maybe on the position in range, we have a different threshold. For those that have drilled into the software, you would know that 50% or 50 in the position in range is giving you right at that middle point. 100 is giving you the high for the day or the year, whatever range you're looking at. 0 is giving you the low for that particular range. So in this particular case, if I was going to do position in year range, I would do that, but I would want to set a custom threshold, and the custom threshold is 50, not 0. So now what I'm going to get is I'm going to see here, of these stocks here in the consumer staples, 68% are in their upper 50% of the year range, and 31% are in the lower 50% of that range. So that's how you would use the cylinder score, and this is a really good channel to kind of drill into it. The energy, not a good sector today in the market, as every one of these components were down. So let's move on. And usually what I do in these webinars, and this is why you kind of got to catch yourself here, because I just took the sector status, I'm going to move it over to my other monitor, I'm going to put another window on top, and I'm going to forget it's there. For the purpose of this particular demo, I want to make sure that I'm running a little quicker, so I'm just going to get rid of that and get back to my particular channel that I was looking at here before. Let's dive into the creation of a window, and then I'll look at some questions you guys may have if they didn't get answered by Barry, and we'll go to that area. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to close some windows here so that I'm a little bit clear. And I'm going to go ahead and first of all, let me kind of backtrack a little bit. I'm going to go up here into tools, and I'm going to go into options and show you under this layout section right here, we've got a new option here, which is open in a docked window. I don't have it set like that. I like using docks. I use docks all the time, but I like opening my windows in the free floating mode and then choosing to move it into a particular dock later. To me, that's just an easier, more natural way to work with the software. But I've been working with this software for 18 years in free floating mode, so it's a transitional process for sure. So just know that that's there. So here we're going to start off with an alert window. An alert window is an event-based window. So it's chronologically ordered. It's going to give me the most recent event up at the top, usually, depending on how you have it set up. But what we're going to look for here are some climactic up moves. And I'm going to show you a few tricks in the software to manipulate that after you've created a strategy to do a few other things. But to start, we're just going to double click on the start from scratch, or I could just select it once and hit this load settings. When I do that, you can see the arrow move to it, and I've essentially blanked out my alert window, and I'm kind of starting from scratch right here. So before I start into any type of configuration, I've got to kind of create my thesis. What is it that I want to do with this window? What events, what do I want it to show me? And just by the nature of the name of the window, climactic up move, I want this thing to be a strong up move. And there are so many different ways that you can configure something like that. I'll just kind of go through a basic way. I mean, there's certainly a number of different ways that you can do it. The first thing you have to do is you have to decide what alert trigger do you want? What is it that's going to send that event to the window? And we're going to add some filters after that. But the first thing I'm going to do, let's go to the select. And actually, I'm going to do this from search because I'm going to find the alerts that I want to go ahead and use here. So for like a climactic up move, I think a new high is a no-brainer. If there's a new high, that's the type of possibility of an up move that I would want. Again, I'm going to be putting some filters on here that are going to paint the picture as to exactly what's happening before that trigger event could occur. So I'm just going to scroll down through this. I could actually do this, and I could type in bullish up at the top, and now I'm just going to be presented with my bullish alerts. I don't want them all. I still want to look through, and I want to be somewhat critical for the alerts that I want. And this is an iterative process. I may not get it right the first time. I probably won't, and I'll probably end up adding, some alerts or removing some or filters as time goes on. And whether I'm doing it looking at real-time analysis or using my history to determine whether I want to change some filters, it's after market hours, so the chances of getting a real-time signal is pretty slim. So this is where history would really benefit me. So I think the running up now, this looks at a short-term, strong move up. I'm going to also select that one. I forgot if I select. So I'm holding the control key down to do a multi-select. So I've selected those three right there. I'm going to come down. I'm probably just going to select one more, maybe this 5-minute high. And then I'm just going to add the alerts, and you can see these guys in the blue background have just been added. So now if I'm going too deep, too fast for you guys, just know that through the channel bar, we've got a lot of this stuff already configured. We've got momentum channels. We've got all kinds of channels already configured. So this is for the guys that want to kind of explore a little bit more and maybe configure something very specific to what they're looking at. So I'm really just showing you the flexibility of the software here. So now once we've defined what triggers we're using, let's go ahead and put some filters in. So here, since I know the filters I'm going to want to use, I'm going to type them in here because they're kind of filters that they're not that regularly used, like a consecutive candle filter. This is a great filter, and we've got it on a lot of different time frames right here. I'm going to go ahead and use the 5-minute time frame. And what I'm doing here is I'm saying that in order for that new high or that 5-minute high or that running up signal to work, I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got at least 3 consecutive up 5-minute candles, higher highs, higher lows. So that would constitute what a consecutive candle is. A few other things, a few other filters that I would use, something like this, because I'm using 3 consecutive 5 minutes, I'd probably want to do the change over 15 minutes. So if I just type in change 15 minutes, I could either do dollar or percent. I'm going to use percent because I'm going to use a pretty good range of stock price here. So we'll use percent. Let's add that filter. And for something like this, I don't know, maybe 1%, 1.5%. We'll start with 1%. I'll start with it being a little bit more noisy, and then I can dial that back a little bit later. And then another really good one would be maybe change over 5 minutes. So we'll come here and change over 5 minutes. And that will be the last 5 minutes of this particular move. So we'll add that filter right there. And guys, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and review this. And right here, if the change 5 minutes, let's say we only want it to move 0.5%, minimum 0.5% over 5 minutes. And then we can add some other simple things like price. Let's say we only want this to be between $2 and $200. And then we can put in like an average daily volume. And we've got a couple different average daily volumes. We had one up there that was 30 days, but if I just do average daily volume, I've got 5 days, 10 days, 3 months. I can just pick this guy right here. And let's just say we need to do 250,000 shares. Again, that's complete discretion, anything you want there. So now I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. I'm going to name this thing. We're going to call it a climactic up move, and we'll hit OK. So for the purpose of this, let me go ahead and bring in a chart. Let's turn this to a 5-minute time frame. And this is after hours. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to run the history. I don't really care what's happening after hours. There's not enough data typically to give me what I want. But if I go to history and I go to today, this is like I was looking at it in real time. Let me go back to the market. I'm on the West Coast. We close at 1:00 p.m. So I'm going to just kind of head back into the day. And this is how you can tell if the filters that you have are, too tight or not tight enough. So let's just select one here. And this is giving me the blue arrow where that event occurred. And I can see, was this a climactic up? Well, that was a pretty good move up. Might be a little thin for me trading the stock, but that's an option right there. And this is how I would review that particular move. So this right here had a nice climactic up right there. A little bit of a one. So we're going to get something similar each time. Now, if I want to go back in and go, well, maybe I want to make this a little bit more of a climactic move, I could just go ahead and click on any one of those filters right there. And let's say I want this guy to be up 1.5% over 15 minutes. That's all I need to do to really make that change. And then I can go back in and run history. And if I didn't want to see post-market, I could just put this right at the market close and hit OK. Now it's going to bring me all the signals based on that new setup that I put in there. And another thing I might want to do, in history, it's not going to give you that don't repeat, but if I right click and I go to properties and I go to, well, I have to be out of history mode, go back into real time, right click, properties, and go to don't repeat. And I've got it set on here, but this is where you can set a don't repeat. So this is not going to repeat for a minute. So once I get a signal here appearing, this symbol is not going to appear again with this running up type of trigger. So I like to make people aware that that's there and hit OK. So that's the climactic up move right there. So that's getting that stock that's moving up in a climactic fashion. We can do like a derivative to this one right here. And by that, I'm going to go ahead and just right click and I'll duplicate it. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And let's go back in and edit it. And this is going to be a climactic up reversal. So here it is. It had that climactic up move, but now it's going to be turning back down and turning back around. So let's go into configure and let's pull that up right here and see what we need to do to kind of change it. First of all, these triggers, that's not going to give me the reversal that I want. So I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to remove these particular selections and I'm going to select something different right here. So I think what I want, let's try like a 5-minute low. Let's add that, but we're still going to have the filters that are painting the picture of a strong up move. So this 5-minute low, let's add that and I'll select it. And then we've got another real specialized alert for something like this. Like this would be like a red bar reversal, 5-minute red bar reversal. So this is after some up candles, we want this reversal candle. So let's select that and let's go ahead and add the alert. So those are the different alert triggers. Let's go back into filters and see if we want to change that. I'm going to hit hide unused here and it's going to get rid of these filter choices that I don't have any selection in. So now I'm just looking at kind of the meat of my strategy right here. And let's see what I want to do here. So consecutive candles, I still want 3 consecutive candles. Those are historical candles. It's not talking about the very latest candle. And on this guy here, I probably want to dial back this change over 15 minutes and also this change over 5. So I want to get rid of this one here. And the change over 15 is not going to be quite as much. So maybe 0.75. And then we'll hit, well, you know, there's other filters. Let me put another filter, and I probably should have put this in. It's really the proximity to the 20-period SMA. So 20-period SMA on the 5-minute right here. So we want to make sure that this guy right here is a little bit away from that 20-period SMA, showing that we had that climactic up prior to that pullback, if you will. So let's go ahead and add the filter, and let's just make this 0.75. And hit OK. All right, so now let's go ahead and run this history. Completely different look and feel. Now if we scroll back to say something like 12 o'clock, so we've got this climactic up and the pullback right here. Close. Not much here. I mean, I've got the pullback. It's a little bit of an up, but I think the stock price is so expensive, I don't think I'd want to deal with something like that. Here we've got a climactic up and just starting the pullback here. So now that you've seen 2 different flavors of that, we could take something like this window right here, this climactic up move, and duplicate it. I'm going to bring it right over here. I'm going to right click, go back into configure, and we've got this little option in the bottom right corner called flip. So when I do that, it's going to inverse all of the appropriate filters and the different triggers. So if I hit flip, it's now going to be looking for a new low, a running down now, a running down, or a 5-minute low. And it changed the filters where applicable, like the stock price is still 2 and 200. The average daily volume is still at least 250,000 shares a day, but down at least 3 candles and the price is down. So it inverted the particular filters that are necessary to show me that up or down move. So now I'm going to go ahead and change the name. It said flip, but I'm going to say this is a climactic down move. Hit OK. So now the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this one right here, turn it back to real time. This duplicate, I can't tell you how many times I use this through the course of configuring and setting up different windows. It's a real valuable little feature. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to go to configure and go to flip. And I do need, this is a climactic down reversal. And this right here is a climactic up reversal. I forgot to change the name. Okay, so now that I've got this done, I wouldn't want to, close my program and forget all of this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and save or share to the cloud. And I'm going to just grab these 4 different windows right here. These are my climactic up, down, and reversals. And I'm just going to say climactic moves. So now I've saved that right there. Okay, now let's go ahead and show you a different way that we can look at this data right here. I'm going to open up a new multi-strategy window. So my default is saved as the EV one, but you could go ahead. I'm just going to right click in here and I'm going to delete all. So essentially it's going to be a multi-strategy container with no strategies in it. And I'm going to show you how to migrate these little windows that I just created, these different climactic move strategies, into a multi-strategy window. So right click, you go to collaborate. This is really it's a hyperlink that's got all of the configuration settings of that particular window. So I'm just going to copy it all. I'm going to go into strategies here, and I'm going to go to new strategy, and I'm going to go to collaborate, and I'm going to paste it. So that was my first strategy that I pasted in here. And you go into strategy, you can see I've got the climactic up move. I just need to do that same thing 3 more times. Collaborate, copy all, right click, strategies. I mean, literally you do it a couple times and it's like the back of your hand here. And we paste it. Do the same thing down here. Collaborate, copy all, right click, strategies, new strategy, collaborate, paste. Last one right here, collaborate, copy all, right click, strategies, new strategy, collaborate, paste. I guarantee if you did this 4 times, you'd be an expert at it. I do have the old window name in here, so I'm going to go to properties, window name, and I'm going to call this climactic moves. Less than exciting after hours, as you can see, but this is going to have all 4 of those. And another thing that I'm going to want to do here is I'm going to want to customize this so that I've got a color scheme set up for each one of these. Climactic up move, let's just make the background green. Let's go into strategies. Let's go to climactic down move. Let's just make this one here color, background, red. Let's make it a lighter red. All right, so now I've got my climactic down and my climactic up. Now we'll do is bring in the color scheme for the down reversal. So let's go strategies, climactic down reversal, background. Let's make this light green like the other one, but let's make this right here red. So now is our climactic down reversal. And so last one in here, climactic up reversal, colors. This is going to be background. Let's make it, I think I did the wrong color scheme here. Climactic down reversal. Yeah, so I want to change that one. Climactic down reversal is going to be red. That's fine. And then we can go for the climactic up reversal. And you'll find your favorite colors as you do this. You can't go wrong, but you just want to be able to differentiate the different strategies for you. So now I've taken that window and I could go ahead and make it much more efficient from a real estate perspective. And what I've done is I've taken all 4 of these guys and dropped it into a single one that makes it very efficient. So let me go ahead and I'll share this with you guys. I'm going to save or
Hey,
share.
Brad,
Yes, sir.
you know what might be interesting for some? If you took those 4 climatic windows and put them into a docked window called climatic, and then show them how to do that,
Sure.
and then also show them how you can then save a docked window.
Sure, that's a great idea. I did that earlier and I don't know why, it's totally spaced, but let me do that. So I'll just move that one out of the way. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to new and I'm going to open up a new docked window. And we're going to call this a climactic dock. Make it a little bit smaller. I don't need it to be so big. I'm going to move it over here. Now I'm going to go into my first window here. I'm going to right click in it and I've got several duplicate options. I'm going to go ahead to duplicate into climactic dock. So it's been popped in over here. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Duplicate into climactic dock. Now I could go ahead and start organizing it, but I think I'm just going to bring all 4 in and I'll show you how to manipulate the window. Right click, duplicate into climactic dock, and we'll do one last time. All right. So here's my dock window. I've got 4 different tabs in here, and this is how you would go ahead and set it up. So click on your first tab, click on your second tab just to see where that is. And now as you move it around, I'm holding down the left mouse button. Depending on where I drop this, I'm going to have different options here. So you can see it already dividing for you. Let's just move it right to the right. So I've got my climactic up, and I'll put my climactic up reversal right below it. And now I've got my climactic down and my climactic down reversal. Let me grab this and just bring it right over here. So now I've created a 4-quadrant dock. So I can save that as well. So I could right click inside of any of these windows right here, go to save and share to the cloud. And as I scroll down, I'm just scrolling down here, you can see that I'm saving here the dock itself and the 4 different windows in it. So if I do that and I save and share, I can go ahead and do that and copy it. And I'll go ahead and put this in the, I'll put them both in the little chat area here. So this is going to be the cloud link with dock for climactics.
And of course, for them to have that, they're going to have the docking version.
We'll have to have the dock version, but I'm going to also drop in this multi-strategy window here. So save and share to the cloud. This is going to only select the climactic moves multi-strategy. Let me save and share that, copy it, and I'm just going to paste it in here. This is the there you go. So you guys can grab those from the chat window if you're so inclined and you want to take a look at those. So let me kind of peruse the questions here and see if there's anything that's been unanswered. If you guys want to pop it in there, if you want to see something or have a question, more than happy to do that. So Bill, I'm not sure, did you get your question answered? I know there were a couple going back and forth, but do you still have questions on how to manipulate that into a dock window? All right, well, let me know if you do. So let me show you some of the way that I use the dock window and some of the window components that I use. So let's just do this. Let's window, I'm gonna go ahead and close all my windows. File, I'm gonna go ahead and load my layout. This is my layout that I start the day off, the default layout. And it's a three dock layout, if you will. So I've got 1 on each monitor, and I've got actually 2 on my second monitor. I've got my Brokerage Plus dock, and I've got another group and component of windows. But essentially, I'll do a little perusing through the channel bar, but for the most part, I've grabbed these different windows that are on different channels into my own layout. Like trade candidates, it's in a channel that you would pull from. The volume radar is in a channel. The drive data stream is in a channel. They're all different channels, but I've grabbed them and incorporated into my daily routine for the windows that I like to look at. This multi-strategy window, I kind of showed you the beginnings of a multi-strategy, but this is like a multi-strategy on steroids. So you can see all the different windows configuration setups that I have in this multi-strategy window. And if you're inside of the strategies area right here, get back into it. These little check boxes here allow you to turn off or turn on a particular strategy. So if I'm getting, maybe I don't like this bullish stocks under 20 because I'm getting so many of them, maybe I'm getting the block trades or it doesn't do anything for me, you can just uncheck those and they'll stop appearing inside of the stream right here. And all these windows are customizable with respect to the columns and the color. There's some really great stuff that we can do with color. In this relative volume here, you can see how if I was to sort this window here on relative volume, it's now giving me this gradient color scheme all the way up from 234 times normal volume all the way down to normal volume right here. And so if you right click, like I said earlier, everything is context sensitive. So if you right click on these header right here, you could go to the custom colors for relative volume. And if you guys are able to figure out this little component, it's pretty powerful. It's a little complex, but it allows you to do some great color coding with the different columns. And this lets you know that if I've got something below 1 right here, it's going to go ahead and give me a yellow gradient color all the way to 0, but it's giving me this blue gradient all the way up to 100. Everything over 100 is going to be this dark navy blue right here. So, all of these windows are customized in that regard, whether you're looking at the 5-minute volume or the 30-minute volume. Again, these are always comparing it to normal volume. And so when you get something really extraordinary here, something really is happening. Again, we're after hours, so I would never really expect to see a whole lot from this window after hours. But if you're drilling into it during market hours, it really does show you some fantastic things. And this relative volume, I pointed out because to me, it's probably our best filter. Or I don't know if it's our best filter, but it's one that really, for me, in my trading, that really does allow me to spot opportunities, at least stocks that are in play. Not whether it's going up or going down, but when you've got a lot of volume in a stock, it's in play, and it's right for the opportunity. Up here, I choose to have this section of my layout monitor 1 to be tabbed. So normally I spread everything out and I've got a grid format, but if I just tab here, I can tab between them. And just because I'm not looking at them all the time, but if I just want to see what's happening on Barry's watch list, I'll drill into it right here. If I want to see what stocks have a wider than normal range, distance between its high and its low for the day, then I'll go here. And that the range filter is one of the more powerful filters that we have. Like I said earlier, we take all this market data from the exchanges, we bring it into our data center, and we do some very unique things with it. We create statistical baselines for every stock on all different time frames, whether it's price action or how much volume is going through a stock. How much does a stock move over 1 minute, 5 minute, 10 minute, 30 minutes? So we keep all those metrics. When something happens out of the norm, it's really immediately sent to your window here if that's what you want to be looking at. The price alert window down here on the bottom right, I use this more than probably any of our other windows, or really it's a complement to any of our other windows. Because just because something's generated right here and now, and you look at that, it doesn't mean I necessarily want to do something with this. Maybe on a stock like this, and I'm just saying I have no idea because I'm not doing any due diligence on it, but maybe on a stock like this, I want to set up some boundaries here. If this thing finds some strength tomorrow, next week, sometime in the future, I want to be notified of it. So I'm just going to create a simple price alert. It's a threshold alert. When it crosses through that blue line right there, no matter what day it is, it's going to go ahead and send me a notification. It's going to pop up here. It's going to give me an audible notification. It's going to try to say the symbol name, give me a yellow highlight. So all kinds of things are happening when that threshold crosses for me to be alerted to it, where I can click on it, I can pull it up, I can then make a decision as to, is this something that I want to do with it? So now that I forgot what that particular stock was that I was looking at, it doesn't really matter. But I was going to show you what I do a lot of the times is bookend something. So in this case here, this is looking for a stock moving down here. But if I also want to look for that stock moving up, I'll just create a price alert above it at your own discretion. You can set it right there. And if you feel like you want to move it to a different spot, you can do that. And you can use your visual reference here. You can change your time frames to make sure that you're not kind of looking at a microcosm of what's happening. And so essentially I bookended this stock right here. And if it's something that I'm interested in, when it triggers either on the upside or the downside, I can then make a decision as to what I want to do. Do I want to buy it? Do I want to short it? Do I want to put a stop limit? What do I want to do? And just because I'm putting in these types of threshold alerts right now doesn't mean that I'm going to go ahead as soon as it crosses, I'm going to buy it no matter what. That's going to be bringing it up. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to make a decision. The decision is going to be based on a lot of things. How much time has passed between when I set this alert? What's happening in the broader market? How's the sector doing? Little things like that. So we've got this other new window, hasn't quite made its way to your version right here, but it's our Market Explorer. And the Market Explorer is the start of something really special. It allows us to do pretty much anything that we can't do in the alert configuration, alert and filters. We only have 100 plus alerts that you can set up and a couple hundred filters. Sometimes we don't have that filter that you'll need, but this particular piece of programming will allow us to create any type of new scenario. And this is looking at an 8-period EMA crossing a 20-period SMA on a 2-minute chart happening in real time. And when that happens, it's going to give me a signal and I'm going to be able to pull it up. So it's working hand in hand and symbiotically with our other trade ideas windows, but it's a little bit of different piece of tech and really is going to enhance the whole software experience. This right here just happens to be, one of them, but the plan is to have a variety of different strategies in here that have been requested by our customers that they've been unable to develop or we've been unable to configure using our existing tool set. Okay, so let's see what else here. I think the volume radar is a nice indication of how we do slice up the volume on different time frames. This is just a couple different examples, but we have it in a variety of different components. If you right-click in a window, go to configure, and on the search tab right up here, when it comes up, I can type in volume. So when I type in volume, it's going to give me all these different filters that pertain to volume in one capacity or another. And so you can do that and take a look. I do recommend, if you do want to continue to make yourself an expert on trade ideas, this search tab right here is a great place to familiarize yourself with the software. Learn the different filters that we have. If you don't know what one of the filters does, highlight it, hit help. It's going to go ahead and spawn our web page, take you right into that filter, and you can read about it and you can see exactly what's going on. There might be some video help about it as well. And you can select those icons. The more you know, the more efficiently you're going to be able to use trade ideas. So this is a great spot right here, this search area. I'm just looking at filters, but if I was to do this inside of an alert window or a multi-strategy window, kind of do the runabout here and just go into configure, the search tab really has the same amount of information that the top list does for filters for alerts. So if you go to search, up at the top are going to be all of the alerts. As you scroll down, the background on these icons are going to change right here. And so this is where the filters start. So price and spread and bid size, those are filters. These guys with the white background are all alerts. So just a little bit of a understanding. If you left click on any of these icons right here, you're going to get a context menu. But if you, if you right click, you're going to get that context menu. If you left click, it's going to take you right to that filter to modify or take you right to that alert, depending on what you clicked on. Single stock window, like I said earlier, is really a deep dive into a stock, and we've got these different tabs up at the top. I highlighted briefly the similar, but we've got a news tab right here. This is using a Google API, so it's bringing in all a variety of different sources for news for the securities. Profile, what's that stock do? What's their business summary? There's their website. What country are they operating out of? And insiders. Not all stocks have insider data, and I think this is a component that we're migrating over and enhancing right now as well. So on my other monitor, I'll just talk about a couple other things. I've got the AI up, so I've got the AI strategies up right here, the AI trades down here. I've got stocks that I've recently traded in a top list. I just maintain that by a symbol list. My stocks breaking. We also have an ability, if you go into configure and you go into the symbol list area, add existing list, we've got these two up at the top, my holdings and my liked. So on the chart, we've got this little heart right there. That's how you would add something to your my liked symbol list. It can be a symbol list, or it's also a channel where everything in that channel is looking to the stocks that you've previously liked. But this my holdings right here integrates with our Brokerage Plus module. So any stocks that you've been trading is going to be populating in this list right here. So you can create a top list of the stocks that you're trading, or you can create an alert window, stocks making new highs, new lows, pulling back on the stocks that you're trading as well. The halt resume, I like to have that open when things get halted. I just like to be aware of it. Typically 95% of the time, maybe even more than that, I'm not doing anything with those, but occasionally you might be in one of those stocks. You might be contemplating getting into one of those stocks. So it's good to kind of have an idea as to what stocks are being halted and resumed out in the marketplace. Alpha Predator, you can find that on our Alpha Predator channel. Real-Time Rippers is on one of the channels. So, I've kind of brought in windows from different channels that I like in addition to making my own. And then finally, let me talk a little bit about Brokerage Plus. So Brokerage Plus is our gateway here to the market, being able to trade either directly with your broker. And right now we're integrated with IB, we're integrated with E-Trade. TDA is still on hold, but it's moving forward because we have to do a little bit of development work to accommodate for some deficiencies that are in the API. So that we'll have all of those brokers online, but we do have E-Trade and IB currently active in addition to our own simulated trading. So up here on the Connect, you've got the different options, but the simulated trading right here, this allows you to really see what it's like before going live into the marketplace and hypothesize what you would do if you were trading certain stocks and putting in certain stop losses and giving you the profitability of that. You can have multiple accounts in here. You could set it up to where you're looking at just a simulated account, or you can add additional accounts. Let me show you how to do that real quick. So if you go up to New and you open up an Accounts tab, you'll open up an Accounts tab and you can right-click in here. When you do that, it's going to spawn this menu that allows you to add additional simulated trading accounts. You can name it the way you want to name it, put in the amount of capital that you want to put in, and keep it like that. So the Brokerage Plus is a great way to develop an understanding of your risk controls. It does a nice job of keeping track of your P&L graph, like how you did during the day. This was obviously not a very good day right here, but started off up and it progressively ended up on the lows of the day. And it gives you that visual indication as to how your portfolio is doing. Inside of a docked component like this, I've decided to move my orders and my executions down at the bottom right here. You could have them any way that you want. I've also brought in a couple charts over to the side. So this is now my little Brokerage Plus dock. And so I've got 3 different docks that I use throughout the day, all kind of doing different things. And, maybe I'm trading in one account here, maybe I'm trading in a different account here. You can go ahead and set that up. And right here on the order entry panel, we've got it set up to automatically know if you're only looking at a single account, it'll be transacting in that particular account. But you could always change it. You could always change it to a different account and transact in it, or change your account that you're viewing up here. So very, very flexible with that. I highly recommend people use this to get an understanding of their risk parameters. What's comfortable for you? If you're new to trading, how do you know what kind of share size you should put in there? It's not always about the exposure, because certain stocks are far more volatile than others, and you could have pretty small exposure, but a highly volatile stock or a super low float stock that's on the move, and it'll just be much more volatile. So this is a good way to dial in those constraints. Okay, so I think I've gone through everything I want to go through here, and my favorite limit order in IB, I don't know that I have a favorite limit order in IB. I do so much market orders that I find myself doing a lot more market orders than anything else, because I'm trying to capture a bigger move. And for me, that couple cents, unless there's a good spread on it, then I'll be bidding into it. But I also like to stop limit orders, getting into something like that, which is kind of new for me. I never used to do an order like that. All right, guys, any other questions? Thank you, Barry, for answering all those. I see you made tremendous headway in there. Let's get right back to it here. So guys, go to our download page, download version 5.5. We're going to be making some incremental updates to this, probably several times a week, because we don't want to have something too stale out there. But yeah, please download and check back to see if we've upgraded it. So I was talking a little bit earlier about the strength alerts. You can sign up for it at trade-ideas.com/strength. It gives you a good indication as to some of the rationalization going in behind these calls right here. And our CTO, our new promoted CTO, Dave Mabe, he's created an ebook. He was the director of software development, but we have recently promoted him. And you can download that book, trade-ideas.com/strategy. This is the room that Barry moderates during the trading day. He's there about a half hour before the market opens, and he's there about an hour before the market closes. I think those are his hours. But it's a great room where there's a tremendous amount of discussion on stocks that are in play. He's sharing his desktop throughout the day, answering questions. He's doing yeoman's work as far as, you know, trading. When people are trading, that's usually takes up all of their focus. And he's trading, and he's also helping people. So it's pretty good. Daily support sessions. We have breakout sessions at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 p.m. Eastern time. You can get to it, trade-ideas.com/live. We have an incredible support staff. These guys not only know software and trading, but they know trade ideas like the back of their hand. So they can help you out in numerous different ways. This is our pricing. We're software as a service. We charge by the month or by the year. It's $3.90 a day for the standard. For the monthly, $2.90 a day for yearly. It's pretty inexpensive, about the price of a cup of coffee. It shouldn't be prohibitive to anybody that is endeavoring and tackling the stock market. So the premium is a little bit more than that. The premium, the differentiating factor is really the AI. I didn't talk about the odds maker, but that's our event-based backtesting tool. Those are the two primary reasons, but you would also get access to more charts. And I didn't spend too much time on the AI. I wish I would have. We do a podcast every, I have no idea how often. We used to do it every Friday, but I think it's a little bit, I don't think it's quite as frequently now, but you can do a search for Trade Ideas on your podcast search engine and check us out there. We're very reachable on social media, through Facebook, by phone, but the best way to get a hold of us is either through our homepage chat or sending us an email. All right, guys, thank you very much for your time today. You will be getting a recording. Scott, did I leave anything out?
No, I think that covers it. The recording will be up either tonight or by early tomorrow morning, and we'll send an email out tomorrow from GoToWebinar with a link to the playlist where you can find it. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.